Hello and welcome to my channel, Meandrius Plays. And today is going to be our first installment of Wildcard Wednesday, where I get to pick a game that may not be on our current series. Today, I want to show you guys Mind Over Magic. It's a game I really enjoy, but I am not very good at. So, I normally play on a normal difficulty, but for the entertainment of you fine folks, we're going to try hard today. Um, I very well might continue this on Wednesdays for a while to keep this series going. This is a game that will also need a few it'll need a whole series really to get a feel for it. But if people aren't feeling it, I can always drop it. It's not something I'm committing hard to, like the other series that I started and want to continue. So, without further ado, let's get into this. It's going to be easiest to show you what the game's about in the game. So we're going to try Relentless difficulty. Let's see if I can customize that. We'll just leave it. So we will start with balanced architecture style. So this is a mostly 2D games, colony building game, similar to like Oxygen Not Included. It's actually made by the same developers. Um, and as you make rooms, they have certain keywords to become specialized rooms. And this style just denotes what keywords are common, kind of. Um, Sometimes it can force you into building some pretty wacky schools. So instead of a colony, you're actually building a school. Okay, strategic options, advanced battle strategy. Okay, so that makes them a lot tougher, but we're gonna go for it. I might struggle. Let's get this started though. All right. Towers of the Gloomy Willow. It's not bad. Let's try to randomize that a little bit. Ember Depths Hall. College of the Bone Stone. University of the Broken Crown. I don't. Oh, I don't like the sound of the University of the Flesh Lake. Uh, that sounds even worse. Let's carry on. I don't like that either. Um, sure. I'll take School of the Smoky Branches. It's less creepy than some of them that we had. All right, so these are our starting staff. Um, you can just fully randomize, or you can, instead of having to re-roll over and over and over again, you can pick which um, wand type the year two starting staff will have. Normal difficulty, you have 3, which makes it a lot easier. But we're going to go with this. So I want to start with a lightning staff member and a earth staff member. So these various magic types are useful in different actions. And the higher their skill in it, the faster and better they are at doing that skill. One of the main useful things for lightning mages is they are good at research. As with a lot of these types of games, doing research fast definitely helps. Earth is good at constructing stuff and mining, as well as they're good in combat for a tank. You do have to, there is some combat in this game. For the race, I'm going to re-roll until I can get a Wolfkin with a preferably an S in speed. That will work just fine actually. Wolfkin, lightning mages also get part of their power from their speed. So and Wolfkins are always very fast. So that's why that is helpful. So we got 4 main stats. HP, that's pretty obvious for combat. Mana is also decently obvious for combat. Each of your spells do cost mana in combat, but it does affect your efficiency outside of combat too, because they have to go back to either a mana font or a mana lantern once they run out of mana to keep doing tasks for you. Power is just damage and spells. in combat, and speed is combat order, and also helps a lightning mage for damage. So earth mages, they get 20% of their max HP as armor, and they taunt twice in combat. That's one of their first skills is earth armor. So they make good tanks. And Vivified also makes good tanks because they are usually pretty high HP. The chance of which grade of these skills, the growth per level, is determined mainly by race. I don't think there's much else that actually determines it. So yeah, let's re-roll that appearance. Okay, that looks like a Diana to me. All right, so we'll found this school. This is where we start. The mana font is where they will recharge their wands. It is also where we do a ritual to repel this fog. Each night, the fog creeps closer to the school, and we have to do rituals to remove it. So we're gonna, first thing we gotta do is perform the repel fog ritual. All right, and now we have access to a lot more stuff. So we're gonna need wood, so we're gonna start them chopping, and we're gonna need stone. Also, let's go ahead and set priorities. Boris is the founder of our school, the ghost of it. School was destroyed by this cursed fog, and we just have this underschool available to us. They act as another staff member. They can do everything, but they aren't good at anything. They only have level 1 in all the magic, but they can fly, go through walls, and they don't have to sleep. So they are definitely useful for assigning tasks. So let's go ahead and put priority for mages. I do like to set the founder's priority to hunt because when I mark something for hunting, I usually want it killed pretty quick. It's killing wild animals like these direwolves for resources. Beyond that, it's good to do what the mages are good at. Like the Wolfkin, our lightning mage, Diana, is good at research. Josephine, the earth mage, is good at constructing things and mining things. So we're going to up their priority on those tasks. I do like to have everybody really prioritize medical rest so that when they're hurt, they're going to go to a medical bed. All right. So now we're just going to need to get some resources. There's multiple ways to select resources in this game. The one I often do is if you double click a resource, it will highlight any that are on your screen. Notice since I zoomed in and these 3 stones weren't on my screen, they're not highlighted. And then you can just click to mine them. So that can help you select a lot of them. The other option is if you click gather here, you can then just start clicking on these to mark them for mining or canceling them for mining and so forth. You can actually do select all and then just start, hitting everything. Anything that you click on will be gathered appropriately. Okay. The further away the fog is, the more resources it costs to do the repel fog ritual. So now it costs 34 wood and 4 gut berries. So we're going to need gut berries, 1 for a source of food early on, and 2 for that fog repel ritual. We can get into trouble if we don't have enough wood to cast that ritual. So we definitely want to prioritize that since it is one of the limiting factors on your repel fog ritual. You really need wood. So we're just going to get as many resources that we have available to us, especially the wood. I think I'm going to put priority on everybody to get that wood, to be honest. So that's going to be harvest. So I'm going to bump that priority up for people just to focus on that. right away. I want to feel a little more comfortable with our wood supply. Okay, so there, oh, maybe, was it not? Is there chop? It's actually chop that I want them to focus on. There we go. So they focused on harvesting the gut berries, which is fine. We do need those as well. But the wood is going to be a major limiting factor for us. Specifically for the repel fog ritual. I think right away, I'm just going to repel it further. Just to buy us some more time. Because every night it comes closer and it will damage our school. And it'll make it so we can't reach these resources. So let's just get it further away. I feel more comfortable with that. And this crystal is kind of a representation of how much of the fog is pushed back. So by pushing it back, you access more materials and you buy yourself some time. So if we wanted to do it again, it would still cost the same amount actually. So we might do that here in a little bit. How much wood do we have? We have 200 wood. We need that. That's good. We can start building. I like to make my first rooms 5 tall. It's kind of my standard height in this game. So we can start with that. And because hallway arches are free, I start with that. Because we're really strapped on resources at the moment. I am going to change their priority back to normal. Because we've pretty much chopped all these trees. We have, actually. Not pretty much. Alright, we can mark some of these resources for gathering as well. And I'm going to start with a spiral staircase now. Then on top of this wall, we can put a floor. This yellow means it's not supported, and the darker the blue, the less supported it is. So we can fix that by building another wall here with another hallway. I'm actually going to build another wall there. I don't really need to at this moment, but I do like to have my staircase separated. For whatever reason, I guess. Before night, I do want to try to get 2 cots up for our 2 staff. Remember, our founding ghost does not need to sleep. All right, so that's officially a schoolroom. Let's take a look at the different types of rooms. If we look at the book of rooms, it will list what the effects of making a room are and what we have to do to make it that room. Must-haves are obviously something it needs. Must-not-haves are things you can't have in there. The first room, and the most simple, is the austere bedroom, really. It just needs 1 or more cot, plain bed, fancy bed, or canopy bed. And just not things that really shouldn't be in a bedroom. You don't want research stations, dining tables, things like that. And it gives conviction to sleepers in there. Conviction is morale, basically, in this game. And it is this bar. Once they get down to a certain below, I think this threshold, they have a slim chance of having a mental break and bad stuff happening, and a much bigger chance if they get down into this red area. And there's various things. Yeah, they have a misfire chance. Okay, so they can't, in this range, they have a chance for their spells to not work, which just makes them worse at everything. Here they can get a mental break, which is bad. Very bad. Causes a lot of chaos. So we want to avoid that. We want to keep our mages' conviction high. And here we can look at what's causing their bonuses and their negatives. So the next thing I want to talk about is room conditions. And that is, we can look at the lighting in each room. And depending on the amount of lighting, a void shroom can spawn. If it's well lit, no void shroom can spawn. Dimly lit, they spawn every 36 hours. And a dark room every 24 hours. Void shrooms, once they are fully grown, will drain the mana of nearby mages and give them a debuff on conviction. So draining the mana will mean they'll have to run back to the mana font more often. So it's good not to have void shrooms. But later on, it is a resource that you need for certain rituals and crafting. So you kind of set up a void shrooms farm where there's some purposely dark rooms that only certain mages, oftentimes this founder ghost who is immune to them, can go into. So, but right now we want to avoid void shroom as much as possible. So we want to get some lighting going in here. I do like that this game is a little more 3D than like Oxygen Not Included. There's some depth to these rooms. I can choose where to put these cots. So these wall torches need some more viscera, and you get that by hunting these dire rats. You can also set a specific schedule for your staff and even for your students. Even a custom schedule for specific people, and that'll be more useful once we have more staff. So also we can set what meals they can eat, and these do have the two races that we chose to start with do have some special dietary things. If we mouse over their race here, the Vivified are basically dolls that gain sentience. They have high HP, and they have the status of stick stomach. They get no conviction penalties or bonuses from eating. So, you give them the worst food possible, because they don't get a negative, and they wouldn't get a bonus if you gave them good food. The Wolfkin has Apex Predator. They don't get penalties for sleeping outside or on the floor, and prefer to eat dire rat or croa. They'll just eat rats straight up over meals that have conviction penalties. So if we look at these gut berries that we have, actually it gives them minus 20 conviction. So that's the worst food we have available. So we will definitely let Josephine eat those. We don't want Diana to eat that because that's minus 20 conviction, whereas if they eat the rat, it's just a 0. So it's better to have a plus 0 than a minus 20. The fog crept closer there. So in the morning, we're going to want to do that fog repel ritual again. We are hunting down rats to get viscera for these wall torches, to avoid the void shrooms is the goal. We do need one more rat. Mark him for hunting. Because we have him, Boris, as a priority for hunting, he's going to focus on that. Let's go ahead and build I think we'll need another wall torch in here. Okay, so the room conditions. I explained lighting. It affects void shroom growth. Dimly lit room, so that does need more. The next room condition is filth. So some crafting stations and such generate a mess, filth, when you use them. Say you're making a potion and it just spills everywhere as you're making them, and it just leaves the room messy. You have to keep that room clean and do cleaning tasks to keep the filth down, or else ooze can spawn, which damages furniture and adds more filth to the room, leading to more oozes. So you want to keep that from happening. And the last condition is clutter, which is just the amount of loose materials that are on the ground. So say if you're crafting something inside and you didn't make a place to store it, it'll just drop on the ground and it can add to clutter. And the clutter can make gremlins spawn, which will steal items that are left on the ground. So they'll just take your resources. So you want to keep the clutter down too, or else you'll have gremlin problems. You can also check the pathing, make sure everything's accessible, and you can check the support. All of these have full support. All right, that's enough talking about that for now. Let's carry on. We'll keep watching the lighting. Okay, so this is lit well enough so that void shrooms won't spawn. So I'm going to cancel that assemble. They actually separate assemble from construct. Construct is earth magic, and it's building like foundations, floors, walls for your base, for your school. And that is use earth magic. Building furniture and such is assemble, and that uses air magic actually. All right, so now none of those will spawn a void shroom. Excellent. And the codex is just like tutorials and like information on stuff. Can be useful, especially if you don't know what you're doing. And let's be honest, I don't always know what I'm doing. So, start of the new day. Let's go ahead and perform that ritual to repel the fog. So it needs wood and gut berries. So that's what they're gathering. Then after that's done, we're going to want an arcane secretary. What that does, that is the research center. So that will allow us to research more things to build, which we definitely want. And then a wand shaper lets us craft new wands, which we need to hire students. And a major system in this game is summoning students and teaching them. And as you teach them, you can get them stronger. And once they are fully leveled, you can choose to either hire them as staff or graduate them. Graduating them, they leave a relic behind, which you can put in these slots to give your mages bonuses. You really only want to hire ones that are good. There's random stats, kind of as I showed you as we were selecting our starting mages. So if they're not good, you definitely don't want to hire them and keep them around. You don't want to grow too fast because, well, there's a few reasons, but one of the main ones is, if we look at the status and conviction, this no weight of malice. Weight of malice is a debuff that grows with how large your school is, and one of the major things that affects that is how many staff you have. So if you grow too quickly and have a lot of staff, you'll have that weight of malice. Instead of being a bonus, it will drop off and eventually even be a negative, which will lead to breaks and all sorts of bad things happening. So the arcane secretary is done. Let's open our research tab. And there is a large research tree. What I'm going to focus on first is, just so we don't lock ourselves out of being able to cast the repel fog ritual, I'm going to start in this growth and soil tree. Remember, we need gut berries and wood in order to cast the ritual. So we're first going to get domesticated gut berries. That'll let us plant them. And then a sun shadow tree planter. A sun shadow tree planter will grow in shade, so you can build it inside without any lighting. That's useful. And it'll just keep producing wood for you. You'll chop it down when it's fully grown, and then automatically replants, and you get more wood. So we really want to get up to here. But to get here, you do need the domesticated gut berries. If you just click add here, it will queue up everything that is needed for that. This research as well as the trees, they also have these tiers. Like here, you'll see this Roman numeral 2. That's a tier 2 research, tier 3, and tier 4. And anybody at the Arcane Secretary can do these tier 1s. They only need a lightning skill of 1 and just need to do it at the Arcane Secretary. For the tier 2, you need to do it in a special building, a special room, excuse me. At least a mage study or better. Mage's Study, Mage's Tower, and Mage's Hermitage are just upgraded, fancier and fancier rooms to conduct research in. And it needs to be at least in the Mage Study and at least a lightning skill of 3 for the tier 2. Tier 3, Mage's Study isn't going to cut it anymore. Now you need a Mage's Tower and at least a lightning skill of 4. Tier 4, you need the top tier room and a level 6 in lightning. You need the Mage's Hermitage. So, we don't have a Mage's Study, so we can't even access anything in that tier 2 at the moment. So if you were curious of what you needed to do to get that, you could look at your Book of Rooms again, and you can look at workshops. The most basic thing is a workshop, and its effects are plus 25% research and crafting rate. So if we had that Arcane Secretary in a room that was a workshop, the research would go faster. And all it needs is 1 or more research or crafting station and this keyword lofted. Well, what does lofted mean? If you mouse over it, it'll tell you. The room has to be taller than it is wide. Okay, that's not too hard to do. But you also can't have any beds, cooking stations, dining tables, etc. in there. If we scroll on over here, the Mage's Study, plus 100% research rate. You need a certain amount of decorations to get scholarly luxury. Exactly 1 door. Pristine, which means it has no negative luxury items. There are some luxury items that add. There are some buildings and items that you need for some purposes, but they also make the room not as luxurious, so they cause negative luxuries. You can't have any of those, and it needs to be skewed. And skewed just means one outer wall is at least 3 blocks taller than the other. So you end up with some funky looking rooms to meet these requirements. In the Mage's Tower and Hermitage, usually they just add 1 more additional keyword to that from the study. Since these are very similar buildings, they just are harder to get. So from the study to the tower, you must have the towered keyword, but you have to still keep those 2 skewed and pristine. And towered means it's not adjacent to any rooms left, right, or above. It's standing on its own like a tower. It can have a room below it, that's fine, but nothing to the sides and nothing above. So we're gonna have, when we decide the type of room we want to build, we have to look in here and figure out how we have to build it. And the different architectural styles will affect which of these keywords are common and what they are applied to. There's also a option to just have all the keywords completely randomized, and you end up with some crazy combinations, and your school gets it ends up looking ridiculous, but it's got its own charm with that ridiculousness. All right, some of these trees are growing back. I really like to see that because we do need the wood. So our Earth Mage up here, Josephine, just went back to the mana font for mana. Each cast, so you'll see like a mind progress here. So each cast of Earth magic will progress that bar equal to the skill in the appropriate magic, which in mine is Earth. So 3 Earth per cast right here, because they have a skill of 3. So they can mine this in 3 hits, whereas if they only had a skill of 2, it would take 4. If they only had a skill of 1 like the Founder, it would take 8 casts in order to collect that resource. And that's why having mages that are better at different things is important. So, like, when we look at this research, progress, 63 out of 600. Each time this mage casts their wand, since they have a 3 skill in lightning, that will progress 3. And that's why we wanted a lightning mage to start with, is to help with that, to get that research going. If this was in a workshop that has plus 25%, that would increase the progress with each cast. All right, we're still doing okay on wood. I am glad about that. Hey, we got gutberry planters unlocked. Let's go ahead and plant some of those. So they'll plant that after these other things are harvested. That way we just know for sure we have some gutberries growing. Our wand shaper is done. I'm going to add an order. The next mage I want, I think, is a nature mage to help out with stuff. Help out harvesting and chopping trees. We need some of these wormweeds. That's what it said we were lacking for that wand. Wormweed pods. We need 8. We have 0. And I just, with the wands, I just do X times. So that just means, hey, make 2 wands. Do until X. That means if we always wanted to have 1 nature wand, that's what we would select. And anytime we have less than 1, they would come over and build another one. And then there is, of course, infinite. We can also go to details to see what this is a little bit closer. How much magic's used, the required skill, and the ingredients. I just want 1 nature wand at the moment, and we don't even have the ingredients. So this little symbol right here means we don't have the ingredients for the recipe we selected there. Okay, as time goes on, our mages will develop quirks. So, Josephine now prefers recreating in a room with Diana. They get a bonus if they recreate in the same room with them, and get a negative if they don't. Dislikes recreating apart from Diana, and will also be upset if Diana dies or leaves the school. And Diana prefers eating in a room with Josephine. So if they eat apart, Diana will not be happy. Hunger and sleep statuses are pretty self-explanatory. Recreation is... It's similar to the wellness beans in Timberborn. They go and do something to get their recreation up, but it takes a lot of time to get it up, actually. To keep that high, you would have to schedule recreation time, quite a bit of recreation time to keep that up. It's actually really hard to keep that up, especially early game, when you don't have rooms that speed it up, and it's so crucial that you keep your mages working. So I kind of usually let that just go. So we built that nature wand. If we look at clutter, clutter doesn't matter underground. Underground can never spawn gremlins, oozes, or void shrooms. So this laying on the ground here actually isn't causing any damage. I don't know why they prefer to harvest that from up there, but hey, each your own, I guess. So it's bedtime now. We're just going to wait till morning and then cast this repel fog ritual. The fog got close enough that it's actually going to be free this next time. So I guess that works. So these cots are the worst type of bed. So it refills their sleep meter the slowest. So they have to stay asleep quite a long time right now. The good news is, because this is an austere bedroom, they are getting, they're going to get a 2.5 conviction bonus for sleeping in here. It's the worst type of bedroom, but it is still a bedroom and not a random room. Also mark that. So, like I said, he only has a skill of 1 in everything. This enchanted ore takes 24, so he's going to have to cast that 24 times just to mine it. Compared to if Josephine was mining it, they have a skill of 3. That would only take them 8 casts. So they're much more efficient at that task. So eventually we're going to want a mage of every type. But that is going to be down the road some. All right. Okay, they're awake and they're awake. Let's cast that Repel Fog ritual before it gets too late. So you'll notice they can go, the base level cap for them is level 6, and they're getting XP every time they do stuff and when they cast rituals and if they go into combat. And what that level up is doing, it's not actually increasing their skills over here, but they're gaining stats based on their growth rate. Like S growth, they gain for HP. Josephine will get 22.5 HP per level, as well as 4.5 mana, and so on. They will gain a lot more speed, less HP, very little HP per level, but some mana and some power, and a lot of speed. So I do think I'm going to summon an initiate. Yeah, why not? We'll have Diana do it. And the only wand we have is a nature wand at the moment. And they'll go over to this student summoner after they have the materials, which is the nature wand, and begin casting that ritual. All right. Actually, it does remind me, we need to get research going. Where is research? Right here. Okay, so we're still researching that. I'd like to queue something up for after that. And I'm going to go for the Peaceful Skies. And the first one is put stuff here. That unlocks some chests, so we can get stuff from outside and bring it inside. So I'm going to do that. Basic rituals is good to have too. Gives us that ritual sigil. So I'll just... that's useful for graduating and hiring students. So it is necessary. So I'll put that on there too. We'll go from there. There is rain in this game that will damage any items just sitting on the ground. It will also damage anything that's not a roof tile. So this is just a floor, not a roof. So it will damage that if it started raining. And also it can seep through floors and start damaging things below it. So we're going to want to get a roof on here sooner rather than later. We need some stone pretty bad to do that. We also need a classroom to start teaching Amy, our newly summoned human nature mage. We need stone for that too. Well, I think that leads us to our first combat. We're going to start exploring the spine. These are the rewards you get. It'll also unlock new potential rooms that might have useful buildings or other things down there. So let's start this battle. Let's go into our first combat. So here we can look at what enemies we're going to be fighting. And these first ones are weak to darkness, and weakness just means they take double damage. If they were resistant to it, they would take half damage from that type of spell. So they're weak against air, nature, and dark. We do have nature, but it's going to be a weakling. Level 1 student. They're not going to do much. We can look at this advanced thing. That was that check mark we checked that I said is going to be painful. These guys inflict a critical hit, which does double damage, to any mage that has armor. Well, that means this earth armor is not going to be very helpful for us at the moment. It will add 20% of max HP as armor, but they're going to get automatically crit by all of these. So, most spells can only, and attacks, target the front line. Most basic ones do. Like this grind. It's just an earth skill, and it does 8 damage. So not much damage, but... so they're gonna target Josephine. So we're gonna put her in the front because she has way more HP than the other two. It's a pretty simple turn-based combat system. It does break up the monotony, and there's a decent amount of strategy you can do with that too. So we told them that we want them to fill up their mana before they go into combat. And now once all the mages that we assign combat are there, we enter this screen. So one of the exceptions to the you have to target the first row, Bolt can target any row, and that's the basic lightning attack. Speed contributes to power as well, to damage as well. You can see here it's going to do 32 damage. It'll cost 15 mana. Diana has 116 total. Since it can hit things in the back, I'm still probably actually going to focus on this one to just try to drop these as soon as possible. Growth applies Thorns in that position, and Thorns does 10% of their max HP per round, so it does a pitiful amount of damage at only 5 right now. But it will add Thorns there that'll do 10% of the damage. So I targeted the one with more max HP because they'll take more damage from that Thorns. Smash is just really basic, attacks an enemy. We can't target the back, just the front. But it's going to do 56 damage, which is enough to kill that one. And then we just rinse and repeat. The only thing this Amy can do is target that one. It's not much, but it's something. Thorns killed it. Awesome. And we're going to cast Growth on the one with more max HP. Add Smash on this one to kill it. I do have the combat speed set at 3 times. I feel like 6 times just gets almost ridiculous. I like to see something, but I don't like it to go super slow. I think 3 times is a good compromise. So Josephine is actually out of mana. She doesn't have enough to cast Smash. She only has 18 mana, and it costs 30 mana. So we have no other choice. We can move to an empty spot if there was, say, Thorns here and we wanted to avoid that. We could have them run away. Or we can pass. Pass is the common one. It ends their turn and they gain 15 mana. So we know that Smash takes 30 mana, and they'll have enough for it. If they wouldn't have had enough, we could have actually used the lightning spell recharge that takes 15% of the caster's max mana and gives it to an ally. But we know they'll have enough, so no point. And it's back to Josephine, and they get the killing blow. We get XP, and we get the loot that was promised to us. In addition, we have other places to explore now. Okay. So that gave us some stone. It also, sometimes there might be stone laying on the ground here to mine. There wasn't, but that's okay. Josephine is hurt. Actually, they're already healed up. Eventually, we'll want to build medical beds to help them recover better. We have our sun shadow tree. And like I said, it doesn't require light to grow. So we're going to put one down here. Probably 2 once we have the wood. It requires quite a bit of wood to plant, but then it'll keep producing wood for us. What do we need for that teaching circle? The learning stone. We need viscera, so we need to kill some rats. There we go. Oh, and we have that storage also. So that'll be nice. It requires smoke sticks, which I don't see any of the smoke reeds, which are the plant that we would collect that from. But we should have teaching, basic learning stone. Okay, so we can put that right there. This is where the teacher will stand, and all around that is where students can stand. We are going to need another bed for Amy. No research selected. We went through a lot of that research. That's handy. That's a good thing. I do think I want to unlock medical beds, which will let them heal faster after combat. That'll be good. All right, now we're building that learning stone. And the learning stone is just a basic teaching place that will teach all of the elements to students. No research selected. Okay, we are cruising through that research. One thing I do like is to try to get towards this creepiest quilting. It lets you build this spindle, which lets you build animated dolls that can help you with tasks. The first two are just a hauler and a sweeper. The sweeper will help clean up those messes that can spawn the oozes, and the hauler will help bring materials to where they need to go. So that's just freeing up labor for your mages. So I'm gonna start working towards that. It does need these three, but that'll keep our researcher busy for a while. All right, and this is the basic classroom. Learning speed up 50%. And they're going, and if we look at the schedule, teaching classes and tasks. So classes, the teachers will teach in the classroom, and the students will obviously learn during that. And if there's no slots available, they will then default to tasks instead, which is stuff such as chop, mine, etc. Which we actually don't have them doing anything right now. Let's try to, well, we don't have the wood for a fog repelling ritual, which is why I'm glad we do have this. Each chop of this gives us 25 to 30 wood. It's not great, but after two of them, it's about paid for. And after that, it's a net gain. All right, the fog is close. It's actually going to be damaging the school here. That's not good. But it should be free now because it's so close. So we can cast this ritual so that we can have access to our beds again. Do think I want another wand. The next, we'll at least get them ready. No, we won't. They take too much wood. And we are completely out of wood. And now that fog damaged these things, so they have to be repaired, and that's with earth. So he's trying to repair, but kind of failing at it. Not failing necessarily, just not doing good either. One thing I do want to talk about with students is they do have these trials, which if you complete them before graduating them or hiring them, they get bonuses, either an XP or they leave a better relic. So that can kind of change what you want them to do sometimes. Like this one just wants to sleep in the bare minimum austere bedroom, which is pretty easy. As soon as we get that cot repaired, they'll start working on that. This one, they want to keep 2 days a row at or above 70 conviction, so we got to keep them happy. And this one, when they're learning in their classroom, and at least an intermediate, advanced, or skill-specific one, they need to be craving recreation. Well, we don't have any recreation buildings, so they're going to be craving recreation, but we don't have an intermediate classroom. Let's look at what we need for that. So we would go to classrooms. The basic one just requires the learning stone. An intermediate one requires at least one bookshelf. Well, that's super easy to make. So let's click on our research and look at where the bookshelf is. If we don't know where it is, we can search here. Bookshelf, book, brought me here. It actually adds plain beds as well, which would increase the speed that they're sleeping. and a rectangular window that we could put on the back wall that will let in light, either moonlight or sunlight. So we could do that instead of the torches. I do want to get that bookshelf. Let's actually switch that order. So we're going to start with Dancing the Night Away, which gives us an enchantophone, which is for the recreation, but I don't think it's worth it, at least not right now. Okay. This video was almost an hour. I do think at the start of this next workday, we're probably going to call it. I think that'll be a good spot to stop. I do want to do one more repel fog ritual, and then we'll call it an episode. Where is Amy right now? Ah, sleeping outside. They're not going to be happy about that. They're feeling concerned because the fog is so close. They didn't eat in a dining room, and they're sleeping on the ground outside. So they're not going to be happy about that. All right, back in a basic classroom. Let's cast that ritual. Oh, that wasn't what I wanted. Let's cast that repel fog ritual, and then we will call it. Let me know what you guys thought of this game. I'll probably do it at least a couple more episodes, just so we can get a feel for it, and then we'll see what the reaction is towards this, if we want to keep playing it or if we want to try something else with our Wildcard Wednesdays. So absolutely let me know what you thought, and if you watched to the end of this video, I appreciate you. It definitely helps me out. Tells the algorithm that people are watching my whole video or a lot of it and not just clicking on it and instantly being, okay, this video sucks, and then going somewhere else. So that really helps me out. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. It would help me out tremendously. I am a new content creator trying to get a foothold, so every little bit helps me out. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you next time.